I have one more question I can ask you right here. This
Yeah.
is from Amber Hall on Twitter, and this person would like to know kind of about your voice acting in your games because they had said that no one really in any interviews asked you enough about the voice acting you do for Oddworld.
It's funny. Um, I I was a huge fan of Jim Henson.
Yeah.
I was a huge fan of Mel Blanc, right? Looney Tunes.
Hmm.
And Mel Blanc, I would watch that guy as a kid, and I'd be like, "How's he do it?" Like he was just unbelievable. And as a kid, let me say, some people have what I call a mockingbird gene. Like if I'm in a room or I go to another country, I I'm not trying to imitate anyone, but I start speaking with that damn accent, you know?
Yes.
And I can't help it, man. It's not my fault. It's really, and I've met other people like this. And I saw Madonna come back from England and she was talking like an English person. And a lot of people gave her shit. And I was like, I get it,
Mm.
because I don't know what it is. I think it's in our DNA as like a survival mechanism,
Yeah, adapting.
because I am not doing it on purpose, man. And I can't help it. But as a baby, when I heard police sirens, it was the same thing. And I tell you, I could give my mother a heart attack by busting out a police siren in the back seat at age 3. It was piercing and believable, right?
Wow.
It used to freak people out. And at that early age, I discovered the power of sound effects, right?
Yeah.
So I could just like be sitting down in a back seat and everybody's doing shit and I'm just playing with my little cars and I go, I can't do it now, but I go, boom, and it would be like a cop car behind you that hits that one light and it would fucking freak them out, man. And I'm 3, right? So and there was a power in effects. And I was always attracted to visual effects. I mean, if it was like something on fire, it was like, wow. I was naturally a clown, really, quite simply. I was always doing, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Come on, all this type of stuff. And in the Henson model, what Henson, if you were familiar with the history of that company, they were more like, we expect the people running the puppets to do the voices. Frank, his name slipped me at the moment, but he was like number 2. Frank Oz.
Mm.
You did the puppet, you did the voice. And when we started Oddworld, I was like, you're doing the animation, you're doing the voice. And these guys were like, what? Go to hell, man. We're not doing. But I'd walk around the studio. So I wanted all the voices to come from in-house. And I wanted the voices to be animated in a Looney Tunes like way. I really didn't like the CG animated pictures that would come out and I hear Bruce Willis's voice and I hear Bruce Willis
Yep.
and he's totally killing the raccoon for me, right?
Yep.
But when I hear Pixar and I hear, yeah, I'm watching you, these are characters, man. It's like slapstick, it's like Looney Tunes, early Hanna-Barbera. Something. This was real characters. These weren't normal people. And I loved that signature and I wanted that signature. And Henson did it beautifully too. And Henson, all those voices were largely in-house and they were part of the regular talent. They weren't special voice actors going out there and doing jobs like that. And that's what I thought Oddworld should be. And I really started the ball rolling. And, you can tell by the games how many new voices came on, which was not a ton. And I still wound up doing a majority of them. But we kept it in-house. And Michael Bross, the audio guy, he was great at doing voices. Tom Chung was great at doing some voices. And Jung, sorry. And so I got other people to participate, and I tried to do it in a fun way because I thought this is the one thing that we can almost do instantaneously, right? We're slaving over technology. It takes forever to see whatever. But voices we can get in the booth, and we can tell from when you say it, we can tell if we're laughing or not.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a great sort of real-time thing where it's like, nah, say it this way, say it that way. Come on, just say it. And then totally, and someone says something that's not in the script, and all of a sudden you're like, everyone's laughing. And we go, that's it. That's what we're taking.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of that real-time spontaneity that doesn't exist in game development, and it was happening in voices. So I really enjoyed the process. It was one of the fastest things you could turn around. And what I would do is I'd walk around the studio and I'd hear people, talking to each other, and they'd be doing their own voices like people do.
Yeah.
And I heard that shit, get in the sound booth. And they'd be like, what are you talking about? I'd be like, come on, man, we're going to the sound booth. I want to see that voice. I want you to read this. And I would drag people in there kicking and screaming. But if you put them in a dark room and no one's watching, you know what I mean? Like people are very self-conscious. The number one public fear is public speaking, right? So being on a stage, if you watch that Trump show where he was, what was it? his first reality show?
Oh, his first one. Oh, geez. Okay, I can't think of it right now. Is
Yeah,
this the You're Fired one or is it a different one?
yeah, you're fired,
Oh,
right?
The Apprentice?
The Apprentice.
Boom.
If you watch that, and I remember we recorded it, we watched it, but there was a great moment where he had his CFO, which is basically a badass New Yorker, right? This guy's, you could tell he looked, you could cast him in a mafia movie, right? It's his chief financial officer. He's sitting at the boardroom. He's supposed to come out with some numbers and tell some things. He freezes on camera and can't talk, right? And Trump goes, "That's okay, there's a lot of pressure when you're on camera, right?" He couldn't talk. That was a tough looking guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and that's what he's afraid of.
Yeah, I've helped a lot of people to the stage at different conferences, whether it was, being involved at Dice and trying to, bring speakers and make sure they, had a good go of it, make sure they felt confident by the time they got to the stage that all the equipment was going to work for them, their slideshow was going to work there, all that stuff. But I've seen people, I won't name names, and at times it's been me, who you would think they're going to get up there and just, man, they just know what they're doing. And they get up there and you see they're shaking.
Yeah.
They're like you go, holy shit, that's so and so, man. They've been doing this shit a long time. They're a powerhouse, and they're shaking, right?
Yeah.
And that's just the exposure we feel when we're on stage, and when the spotlight's on us. So doing voices is kind of, you got to let go of the inhibitions and just go for what's going to cause that room to laugh. And I found you turn out all the lights, it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
So something about I'm not being watched. So I would drag people in kicking and screaming. And that's the legacy of Oddworld Voices.
Yeah, and it's one of my favorite parts about those games. Like it adds a certain personality and charm to it, and yeah, I love it.
And it's funny because we were winning voice awards against people that were paying budgets for big stars, and they weren't getting them.
Yeah, and it's that authenticity, and it's exactly like you said. It's people were doing voices and you were doing characters, and that's really what had that impact there.
And I felt like a lot of voices didn't do characters. A lot of I moderated a panel at a cosplay event in Hollywood last year, or in Century City, right before GDC, and real voice talent was there, right? So I was like the lowest paid voice, on the bench.